big right now for me.
I know. I've got lots of screens as well. All right. Welcome, everybody. This is our weekly live stream. Today's topic is all about Tesla's Robotaxi. I'm hearing two sides. There's people who look at the Robotaxi progress as, going as expected. We're seeing cybercabs all over the roads right now. We're hearing people saying that their cybercab production is on track for April. We're watching the technology FSC improve daily. We're very confident that this could scale. In the meantime, on the other side, there's people who say it's painfully slow. Why have they only have 8 unsupervised cars in Austin? Why is this not a lot more? Why do they only have 300 cars, 400 cars now in both California and Austin? Why have they not removed the safety driver in California? We thought that it would take 3 months. Now it's well over 3 months that they still have a safety driver there as well. So curious where you guys sit on that debate. Is Tesla's Robotaxi painfully slower than you expected, or is it actually blazingly fast and we're setting ourselves up for a massive scale? What do you think, Hans?
I want to kick it to Nick first this time.
Hans is taking my tactic here. So I was just in Austin. For all those people who wanted to know why I didn't reach out or anything, I don't make it public when I travel. So, but yeah, I was in Austin and I got the opportunity to test it out. And I won't lie, it was painful. The riding was perfect. It was perfection. There was no issues. Everything was perfect. Not even a hesitation or anything, but to get it was painful. First of all, I was up in the Domain, and if you know Austin area, I was up there, and it's not that it wouldn't go there, because I did take one to be dropped off up there, but there was just none around, and it was high service area traffic, all that. And I tried from essentially noon to 5 p.m. to get one from my hotel to go to a restaurant that was down by the water. Impossible. Was not happening. None would even register. It wasn't even like, hey, if I wait an hour to show up. No, I didn't even have the option. And then one of the other times I took it was to go from the restaurant back to my hotel. And I had to wait 25 extra minutes in the restaurant after everyone else I was with already had Ubers and had left, just to get it and experience it for the first time. So it was painful, and it made it essentially unusable. If I wasn't someone who was interested in this and want to take the time and really put in a serious effort to try and use it, I wouldn't have used it. So in that sense, it is unusable. It is painfully slow. Now, at the same time, zooming out from just a user's perspective right now, they are seemingly moving at a faster clip than what they have been. And I think over time that will obviously lead to better experiences, but from a honest criticism of it, yeah, it's going slow. It's not ready, or they are not confident yet in it, or they are trying to get to certain milestones before they scale, which is all that's reasonable. But that's where I think a little communication would go a long way. Communicate. If you communicate something, it's like, if you start off like with an episode like this, like, hey guys, we just changed up the set, new mic, everything. Please bear with us. Like, we get it. It's not perfect, but like, hey, we're all learning. We're iterating here, trying to make the best things for you guys. That goes a long way. Like, at least you're letting us know. But they're not doing that really right now. So that would be my honest answer.
Okay, so you think it's going very slow, Hans?
I think we just need to step back and remember what it is that this is. Technology goes in waves. Every wave is an S-curve, and then the big technology meta arc is a huge wave that's a composition of a bunch of little S-curve waves. And so, yes, we are on an S-curve right now at the early stages, and it feels like it's slow. It's, especially it's easy to set expectations and think, and particularly so when you are not the one building a thing, to think, wow, they've made this progress. That should translate to this timeline in the future. And to do that and miss the mark. And this is what Wall Street analysts are like professionals at. They literally get paid to do this mistake all the time. But anyways, we're, as retail analysts, it's easy to think, man, we have so much better of a pulse on how this stuff works than these Wall Street chumps because, I got XYZ call right. And, predictions are really hard, especially about the future. And so I think that's just like the framing to keep in mind as an investor and as someone who is watching this, that it is, it does feel slow right now, but that doesn't mean that it won't have a takeoff moment. But even in the takeoff scenario, it may be slower than people realize. But that said, the process that they're going through is just grinding through a backlog of rate limiting bottlenecks that they need to have visibility all the way through in order to be willing to turn on that production ramp. Because once you start that factory machine rolling, if you choke on something that you didn't expect while that thing is going, the amount of money that you're lighting on fire is gargantuan. And Elon really, really hates lighting money on fire in that way. I think the Cybertruck, production ramp was a painful experience in that regard and has led to some learnings and maybe some different processes and procedures. And, it's easy to think, man, they knocked it out of the park with the simultaneous Model Y refresh across all the factories. So whatever those problems were for the Cybertruck, those are solved. And they should be able to have a seamless ramp into the Cybercab. But that's just not how this is going to work because the Cybercab is a brand new production process and it's a brand new vehicle, even though it does draw heavily on existing experience. But it's going to be much more like the Cybertruck, I think, as far as the challenges that they face than the Model Y refresh. But they do have the experience of the Cybertruck to draw on. So I think they're going to handle those challenges better. They're much more equipped, much more informed right now. So yeah, it is slow until it's fast. Just like the stock from 2013 to 2018, 19 was slow until it wasn't. And then, wha-bam, there it is.
Wha-bam. Wha-bam.
All right, so that's 2 for slow. What do you think, Herbert?
Well, I mean, okay, I like to play the opposite of whatever you guys said. If you said it was fast, I'll say this.
Well, what do you think, though? What do you honestly think?
Okay,
if we didn't go first.
If I was going to go first, here's what I would say. First of all, let's go with facts. Let's start with facts. This Robotaxi started off at 8 months ago. 8 months ago. They're at 395 Robotaxis. 8 are unsupervised at this point, right? There's cybercabs everywhere, right? We're seeing it in 6 states. They're being driven, but there's 24 of them being tested in Austin. Like Hans says, cybercab production seems to be absolutely on track for all sorts of reasons. Joe Techmeyer, I'm going to interview him. He's on record saying that he saw hundreds inside because he had a special tour of the Cybertruck unboxed model, confirmed that it was unboxed, confirmed that there's hundreds already in there, and we're seeing it all over the cars. Just a couple of days ago, we saw a bunch of Cybercabs being tested without a steering wheel, without the side mirrors, being tested out there. So I think that is our biggest point, which is what Hans said, right? You're not going to build a Cybercab production line like this if you aren't ready to scale. Is it slow? It's slow relative to what we want. We are all watching it daily. So we want to see 5 jump today and 5 jump tomorrow. But
not but yeah, Tesla, a lot of Tesla retail investors. Yes.
It's also slow. It's not just relative towards us. It's also slow relative to anyone who's trying to actually use the service.
Okay, that part I think
let's just
that part is I think surprised a lot of Tesla people because a lot of us said, they said there's no way Tesla would launch a service and not have enough cars to make sure that people aren't upset because they're waiting 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. but they're doing it. Here's why I think it is slow, though, is that we talked about it last week, but it's worth talking about over and over again. It's the sentiment and the narrative that's taken off. What do we see in headlines everywhere? Tesla Robotaxi has 5 accidents in January. Tesla Robotaxi is 4 times more dangerous than human drivers. That took off everywhere. Now, I've done how many shows I can to explain that those 5 accidents were all parking lot. They were under 2 miles per hour. They were nothing burgers. But yet that is the narrative. So how could Tesla just go forward? They need to make sure that that is resolved. Not a single one, not even a fender bender, not even a 2-mile thing needs to happen anymore. It's got to be clean. So I think what I'm watching, and by the way, the other thing I reported on 2 days ago was all the hiring. We're talking about robotaxi managers in multiple cities that we haven't even heard about. We're hearing, more of these autopilot drivers that's going to take over these cities. It's not just the 7 cities that they're going to launch by the end of this middle of this year. They've got 12 cities that they're hiring people for now. So it sure feels like that they're doing everything slow, and then they're going to go fast. So I think the answer is the cop-out. It's both. It's very slow.
Yes.
Much slower than we expected. But
let me make
if you look
one
deeper,
more fast argument.
Go ahead.
Before we move on from that. So yes, everything we've said, I agree with. It's also objectively lightning blazing fast. If you want to know who's going to win a race, don't look at what their speed is at any point. Look at what their acceleration is. And if you look at Tesla's speed compared to Waymo's speed, and then Tesla's acceleration compared to Waymo's acceleration, Tesla has reached this point, once they started going down, rolling out this technology, much faster than Waymo did. So they are, much further along relative to when they started in this process than Waymo was. And so that's, under that metric, which I think is probably one of the most instructive first principles leading indicators of what to look at, they are blazingly fast. It's still a really hard problem, but they are making incredible progress.
Yeah, I hear it all. This is where I think Tesla's biggest Achilles heel is communication. It's one of their best things is that Elon actually interacts with everyone, but it's also their biggest Achilles heel is communication. And I think it would go a long way just to have a clear, defined roadmap of what's going on, what are the hurdles, and set reasonable expectations. I don't know if I'll ever understand why they do it the way they do it. Like one day Elon's having these grandiose, so far out things that are so late. The next day, Ashok's putting out a timeline that they're hitting left and right perfectly. And then Elon says a couple things that hit perfectly. And all of a sudden, here we go again, back to this other, it's just like there's no rhyme or reason. It seems like sometimes they're saying perfect milestones that they hit and execute flawlessly. Other times it's you guys didn't even hit a single one of them. So I think communication has always been their Achilles heel. But if you're going to invest in them, you got to know this. You got to know this about them, and you can't expect them to change. I think it's fair to vocalize it and express what you think about it, because if not, I think you're just lying and you're just pretending to be someone who just says everything's always good with Tesla, that you like every little thing. And at that point, it's hard to trust us if that is what we're doing. But at the same time, you have to understand who you're invested in. You have to understand who Elon is, who the company is, what their ethos is, and how they move through the world. And once you've know that, it's okay to be frustrated, but you have to know what you're going to do with your investments. And that's either a buy and hold, or if you're a leaps person, whatever you're doing, just understand what you're investing in. And you can't let your opinions and what you think they should be doing be what dictates that. You invested in them, you're invested in them. You're in a relationship with them. Don't try to change the person or the company because you don't like they're doing something a certain way.
Yeah, I think what you said was right, which is it's what they communicated, right? And then they're not hitting that communication. So when Elon said we're going to be doubling every month, well, we need to be at 500. We're at 400. So in that perspective, we are slow compared to what they have said. So that's why we're all like thinking, hey, how come it's not here yet? We expected more than 8 unsupervised. That's just the fact that they're communicating that. And then, the competitors are doing a great job. Here's Waymo out here communicating that they've got 10 cities now that are out there. They just added 4 new cities yesterday. Now, again, they're just test beds because they're still invite only.
But it's a good communication. It's a thing. It's good communication. You know what to expect. They're just launching in there. It's not fully fair. Like you understand what to expect. But again, this is what Tesla does. They ebb and flow like this. Last year from January to pretty much, I don't know, end of or beginning of October, they were like amazing. It's like a different company. They milestone hit, everything they said. In fact, it tended to be early. And then we get to October's earnings call, and Elon said all this stuff was going to happen by the end of the year. Not a single one of them happened. And then we have a Q1 earnings call, and the rate you just talked about, Herbert, and we're not quite seeing it, but we do see progress. So it's just, you know what you got as a company and what you can expect. And it's not to say that they're misleading us either. Like things happen. These are projections, and a lot of times it's what you want to happen. But like I think all of us have been in that moment where you're doing something so silly, like all you have to do is change out a light bulb, and all of a sudden like that leads to like 3 trips to Home Depot, and then Home Depot didn't have to go to Lowe's. Like this thing that should have taken literally 30 seconds is now taking me 4 hours. We've all had that, and companies who are doing things that have never been done before, they're going to have that too, if not even more drastic. So like you just got to take it with a grain of salt. But I just say like, because I'll sit here and I have no problems telling you the things that I think that they're doing right or wrong or whatever. But at the end of the day, I trust them. They're the leadership. I invested my money into them. And so I trust that they know with the full picture in mind, they are making all the right decisions. But yeah, it's fun for YouTube to talk about things like what we think, when we can't see what's behind the curtain, that's what we think. And this is the impression. And I think that is why Tesla stock is, kind of lagged a little bit, but at the same time, there's lots of hope of what can happen. We see enough that's been keeping the stock not, looking like Palantir or Bitcoin. So, it's the truth is somewhere in the middle there. But I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic going into the rest of the year. And I do think like Hans and you, Herbert, said, I think April into May will probably be the defining moment, when it's like, all right, we can't just have all these cyber caps stacking up, so we better make sure that we go slow now and we get every little nuance, I dotted, T cross, whatever, because once they start rolling off the line, we only have so much room to stack these.
I want to ask you that question. So first of all, first question to both of you guys is, okay, so what is slow? What is slow is based on what Elon has said, right? Doubling every month. We expected more of this, but this is the actual guidance that was provided by the company. It was, physically in the earnings report. And do you guys think that any of this has been delayed at this point, or do you think this is still on track?
On track.
On track, I believe too. Again, based on the hirings, to me, that shows that this is still on track, regardless of what we're watching. Oh, there's only 1 more unsupervised. Oh, there's only 12 more added in 2 days ago. They need to add 100. That's okay. Second question, though, is that we kind of understand now that when they launch a new city, the first 3 months will be safety drivers. Fair. That's fine. That's okay. But if that's the case, Hans, take a look at this. If that's the case, then Austin needs to be able to be the one to accommodate cyber cabs. True or not true?
I mean, it's definitely going to, have to soak up the lion's share for the beginning part of the ramp, but we've already talked about that and how, the greater Austin area, if they really are kind of unconstrained for the most part, and can go, there's a lot of people in between San Antonio and Dallas Fort Worth. And there's a lot of
but
a lot of
Dallas
addressable market
will be first half, and they would need to first start off with 3 months of safety driver.
That's for downtown where it's more complicated. That doesn't necessarily mean like Round Rock, right? I think that's one of the neighborhoods around the greater Austin area, but it's not Austin. Austin is way more complicated driving than some suburbia neighborhoods. So I think when you
there's
see
a lot of sprawl,
in
between San Antonio and Dallas, that I don't know that they're going to put it on a quarterly report. Like, hey, we're going into Waxahachie, this month. But that is, something they'll be doing as they kind of expand that concentric circle outwards, but along the arteries. So it'll be, right up and down I-35. And it's going to be an interesting expansion to watch it roll out. And it's going to be really cool, I think, for people to see a lot of those suburbia areas supported way faster than, like the ramp is going to have a different shape than the ramp of Uber. Like Uber wants to drop into all those major metros first and then kind of expand out. And yes, Tesla is doing that, but at a much, like they're going to expand way further out into the suburbia sprawl before they go to the next metro than the Uber style, where you seed the major metros and then a whole bunch of them really fast with really tight concentric circles, and then eventually you expand out to the urban or the suburban sprawls. And so, that's going to be something that I think catches a lot of people by surprise. And there's a lot of addressable market in that suburban sprawl to absorb quite a bit of cybercab production.
Okay, so you're thinking cybercab in Austin, suburban sprawl. Then you think maybe California can absorb that as well next.
It'll depend on, the safety driver situation. I don't think they're going to want to add thousands and thousands of cybercabs with safety drivers in San Francisco. I could be wrong.
But you don't need it because you already have the safety drivers now with the Model Ys in San Francisco. So at this point, they can remove that.
Herbert, there's a lawsuit that they're filing now against the DMV in California. Like I don't think
those were words. Those are marketing words.
I know.
So what happened was,
I hear you. What I'm saying is they're not exactly on the best terms, California and Tesla.
Oh, so you think this is? You think they slowed down? Are you throwing out some idea that maybe they're slowing down their plans for? That's why they didn't remove the safety driver?
No, I'm not saying Tesla's slowing down their plans. I'm saying that the friction's coming from the government of California. I think this is just beyond clear. Whether if they're nitpicking,
here's what happened. Yeah. So, I mean, here's what happened.
Newsom literally called out Elon and even threatened that maybe we don't need FSD here. I mean, like, this has all happened. Like, it's just political theater, and they're going to eat it up, especially going to midterms.
The same thing is true, though, of Elon and Trump. They're besties. They're worst of enemies. They're on working terms again. Like, it is political theater, and I'm just making the point that who knows what the underlying reality is. At
this point, I don't know yet. Maybe you're right, but we don't see that yet. So what's happened so far is Waymo is afraid of Tesla. Now. What Waymo did was they submitted a proposal that the DMV of California agreed to, which is that Tesla should not be using the word autopilot or FSD, full self-driving. So then Tesla, in the last several months, changed their marketing language, and now they're fine. That's clear. They did not get any restriction to stop selling the car that they were, if you don't change these language before the certain date, you would have to stop selling the car there. They changed that, so that's fine. Then there's a new lawsuit, and this is using the words cybercab and robotaxi, but again, these are terms, just terms of marketing terms. So then they will just choose another word, and that's what they'll go with. It's not a roadblock for anything at this point, as far as I'm concerned, and no lawsuit that's going to stop Tesla at this point.
No, what I'm saying is Tesla is fighting back or suing the
Yes.
California DMV. That's what I'm referring to.
For that, because
Yeah, but what I'm saying is clearly
when the DMV
there's
said
a
to
fight.
them that, yeah, these are marketing terms. When DMV said you cannot use the word autopilot because you're confusing the consumer, and then so Tesla changed all their language and they're able to do it. Now they're suing back. Tesla's suing back, saying, "Hey, you actually didn't prove that consumers were confused with that language." So these are like nothing. They're just
It's not
marketing
nothing.
terms.
This is what you do when you're trying to create friction for someone else. You try to throw look, it's what Elon's doing to Sam Altman, right? He's just trying to sit there and throw everything he can out there to slow him down, trip him up, right? Like none of it's probably going to stick. In fact, it just got thrown out, didn't it? So, but this is what you do, what they do whenever they're trying to slow someone down. And I'm just saying, I think it's more likely that we see cybercabs in Dallas and Houston before we ever see them in California.
No, of course. I mean, yeah, I'm just saying eventually after.
They'd have to start from scratch in Dallas, start from scratch in Houston. Yeah, California's been going.
No, I mean, Austin's always the leader and they're the leading. So they'll start.
I'm not saying Austin. I said Dallas and Houston.
Gotcha.
I'm saying that they will start from nothing in Dallas and Houston. They will test there before we see cybercabs running around unsupervised in California.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I get you. All right. That's interesting. So you got that. So none of us think that the 7 cities has been slowed down yet. I mean, again, if you base it on hiring and who they're hiring and how many people they're hiring, it doesn't feel like that has slowed down. We don't see slowdown in cybercab production. So that's another big deal. And then this just popped up, which is this is NHTSA has announced that they're going to have a meeting, a big event. They call it a major event that's going to happen at the U.S. Department of Transportation's headquarters, March 10th, a couple weeks from now. And it's a full day kind of event. First portion is keynote addresses from the Department of Transportation leadership. And the second portion is more discussion about, some sort of federal framework for autonomy. So this is happening. Are you guys expecting something big? Yeah.
Look, let me just get this off my chest here, but that's another great example where you can't sit here and tell me that this is not falling down political party lines, because even that, when they voted, it went straight down Republican, Democrat. Like, this is becoming a political topic, and it shouldn't be. Like, it absolutely should not be. Everyone should be about safety for everyone and autonomy. Like, this is the least political thing you can have. It's like saying a fire alarm is a political thing. No, it's not. It's not. It's safety. But this is becoming a hot topic there. And it's gone both ways. Whenever it was the other side, you had Republicans, before Elon had voted and changed everything, but they would talk about how EVs or whatever, don't mandate these, autonomy's bad. So like both sides do it. I'm not saying this is one way or the other, but I'm just saying like it's becoming a political puck that is being moved around. And that's what I see happening here. I don't want it to be, but we can't be blind to this either. I know everyone's going to cancel me now.
No disagreement here. Yeah, as far as the federal framework stuff, putting aside the right left political football discussion for just a second, it is also like there are different levels of this stack. State and city, state and local, then federal. And each of these things, there are different players and different, allies and opponents that can be called upon. And this federal work is really, really, really significant because that is, it's kind of a trump card that can end up getting played that will at least create the space that's more than sufficient for this whole project to gain an unstoppable amount of steam.
But do you guys think that this is actually going to be anything of worthy? I mean, I feel like they've been talking about this, the Secretary of Transportation and the White House, they've been talking about this nonstop, like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Here we are a year later. It's like, it's really not that difficult to have a nationwide decision or rule set, regulation. Like, I don't understand what's taking so long. It's like the speed of this is kind of insane how slow it is to me.
My understanding is that it's got process. It's the way politics work in the US. You got this committee, the subcommittee called the Self-Drive Act, that kind of passed that bit. Now it's going to be voted on by the House, and then it's got to be voted on by the Senate, then it's got to be approved by the president. And from what I'm seeing from the LLMs, they're saying that this, if everything goes well, this would be something approved maybe by the end of summer.
Jeez.
That's the way it is, because it needs to go through every stage. Now, others have told me that, the president can easily do an executive order and make this happen any day.
He could, but with executive order, it's not codified into law.
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, this is obviously a good sign that at least the conversation's happening. And then the second thing is, if you kind of try to read too much into it, the first portion of the meeting is the Department of Transportation leadership and industry executive panel talking about it. So it seems like it's going to be a positive thing, not a negative thing. But then it's all the devil's in the detail, whether or not, it doesn't matter if they say we proved it, and then there's all these stupid, line items.
LiDAR, right? That's my biggest fear.
Yeah.
That they try to sneak something in there. I mean, I don't think they would. I think that'd be very...
Oh, I guarantee you there are people that are trying. Yeah, but
sure.
That doesn't mean that they would let it happen. But yes, it is going to be funny.
Normally, it's like you're allowed to build a car and meet certain requirements. We're not going to tell you how you have to do it. We're just telling you have to have these requirements. You have to have airbags. You have to have a seatbelt. I don't care how you build it. I don't care how you get to it. We just need to have seat constraints. We have to have you have to have it's like no one's going to tell you how you have to create a crumple zone. You just have to have one, and it's got to pass this test. Here's my test. So if it can pass the test, I don't care how you got here. Right? It's just like your schoolwork. I don't care how you got there. If you can get the answer, that's all I care about. Pass the test, we're good to go. That's how it should be. So hopefully there's no little red herrings out there. Anyways.
Yeah, no, that's great. So I want to ask you then, okay, so we agreed at this point that the 7 cities is still on track.
Sure.
I think all 3 of us agree that the Cybercab looks like it is still in production and that it's going to be on track for some sort of official mass production start in April. Although very small numbers, nobody should get freaked out about how expectations get carried away. But what kind of milestone or something happen? What event would you now say, yeah, things are not looking good, that Tesla will not be able to roll out Robotaxi to compete with the others, or just in general, this whole program is not going well? What milestones would you? I'm going to look up what this one user said, and then I'll come back to you guys. Go ahead.
I guess for me, what milestone? I don't know if there's any milestone. Because even if they did everything they said they're going to do next 6 months and it took them a year, okay, that still doesn't mean it's not going well. It just means it's going slower. I guess something. I don't know. I have to think harder on that because of the way you framed the question. But even let's say this a different way. Not that because you said the program's failing, right? I don't think the program's gonna fail. At this point, I think it's impossible. I've driven FSD enough; it's not gonna fail. The thing, it works very clearly. They're not working on necessarily just FSD at this point. I can drive anywhere. I'm telling you, my cars can do it perfect. Maybe that's just because of where I live, but guess what? That's one of the cities that they're going into, so that makes sense. I think what would cause me to be upset would be if they don't launch in these cities by June, right? Even a small test, just starting it the way Waymo just announced, that'd probably be upsetting. If the Cybercab was producing, but we just had fields and fields of Cybercabs, but none of them are actually rolling around Austin, that'd be concerning. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not concerned about the software. Those days are so long gone. They've solved FSD. They've solved it. I think all that they're doing right now is waiting for the Cybercab to launch And I think they're trying to iron out these like very, very small, minute edges just to have everything absolutely perfect, because the more perfect the software is, the less people they have to have in any kind of command station work looking over the vehicles. And I think that's what they're over indexing for. And I think that is, at the end of the day, yet another part of the Tesla process or methodology that will supersede Waymo. It's not just that they're vertically integrated. It's not just that they're just camera based with a better brain. It's not just that they can go anywhere. They don't have to be geofenced. It's not just that they don't have to rely on high definition maps, but it's also going to be that their software is so much better, that they have such fewer mistakes, that they don't have to have so many people, whether it's in the Philippines or somewhere else in the States, monitoring for support. I think that's what they're doing. And that's the hard part to see. It's really hard to see that. But again, I can tell that it's so good because I use it every day and I'm just blown away how good it is. The only thing that I see that it still struggles on is when there's a detour because the road's closed and it takes the detour perfectly, but then it doesn't keep following the signs and it tries to cut back in on the next road. Like, no, there's another detour sign. It says keep going down this way. So just keep going down this way. Don't try to, because there'll be a sign that says detour down this way, but there's obviously open streets that you can go down because people still live there. So there's definitely like those little things that come up. But yeah, I guess that's my long answer. I'm not worried about the program. The program's solid to me.
Yeah, I think you listed out a number of things that is similar to what this user says. So let's use this as our basis. Genma JP. So this person, he says that he works for a autonomous division for a company. He doesn't say who it is. But when you read his long write-ups of explanation about LiDAR and all that, and explanation, he knows his stuff. There's no debate how detailed he can be about what he's talking about. So he said this, things that would make me bearish on Tesla Robotaxi. 2 bad accidents where Tesla's responsible. There's a 2, not just 1, but 2 bad accidents where Tesla's responsible. No cybercab in service for customer rides by the end of April. So he thinks that by the end of April, you should already have a cybercab in service. Less than 100 unsupervised robotaxis in service by the end of May. So we have 8 now. He thinks that there should be at least 100 by the end of May. That's March, April, May. That's 3 months from now. Robotaxis not deployed in any new city state by this summer. So if they actually don't hit not even one of them by those 7 that it was put. What's your thoughts on these lists?
I mean, those are all signals that it's going slower, except for the first one I agree is the most legitimate reason to have concerns. The other ones are just signal that it's not happening as fast as we would like it to. And that's just that expectation gap that investors are going to have to manage, because there is a probability, and I guarantee you it's higher than you would like to be comfortable with, that those things are not going to happen on that timeline. And you need to emotionally prepare yourself if we end up in that 30% or 40% or 20% scenario, whatever it is, that is not to your liking.
I couldn't agree more. Like Hans, this is so silly. No cyber cab in service for customer rides by the end of April. Okay, so if it's May 15th, you're telling me it's an issue? You're not going to care if it's May 15th. What if it's June 10th? Are you really going to care? No, you're not. These things are so, where do you draw the line? So if it's 2 weeks later, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks,
I mean, if you've got May calls, you do care. But
yeah, again,
if you got May calls, you're screwed way before that.
Yeah, I react to that because there's a totally different. Everybody, when they hear what a Tesla bull is, they have different definitions of what that means. And maybe I already had my other. I already went on a rant before, so maybe not do that today.
Well, don't forget, I'm the prescient bull. Herbert doesn't like my name.
Well, you're prescient, but the word is a little complicated. But yes, you're prescient bull. I like it.
Right? People can get a dictionary.
Hey, Yeah, if people don't get it, it's okay that they don't get it.
It doesn't roll off the tongue.
Wisdom's not for everyone. Herbert, you're gonna have to find this out.
But luckily, we've got Tesla investors here, and they are smart and they are full of wisdom. So it's not a big deal. They understand.
Okay.
Very
Yeah. So
wisdomous.
this guy has a comment here. Let me put it up here to see what you guys think. Thank you, Dave. He said, just finished watching a video that was calling me out. No, that's fine. Thank you. It was claiming that there was only actually one unsupervised robotaxi on the road at any one time. This would be disastrous if true. Can you confirm? So I think, Robotaxi Tracker says that there's 8 unsupervised robotaxis. And the way that they do that is that they track the license plates of this. Now, just because they say there's 8 vehicles that's been used for robotaxi does not mean that there's 8 all over at the same time. So I don't know if I've ever said in any of my statements, maybe I implied it. However, is it also true that I've seen multiple user videos who've been in Austin hailing an unsupervised robotaxi, and they see one and they get in one, but then they see another one right behind it. So there's multiple that are out there. So it's not just one riding around. I don't know if there's 8 of them all around. I have no idea if that's the truth, but I know that it's not just one and that's it. Because I've seen videos where there's multiple in the same shot. What do you guys think?
I hope I'm as big as Herbert one day, where people make videos reacting or criticizing me. I long for that day. Everybody, please go like and subscribe to my channel, Investing Against the Grain.
And then do a video about him and say how
crap. I almost cuss on here. Crapping on me. I would love that. Like, I want to be that. I want to occupy that much mind space, that much real estate in someone's head. I would love that. That's what I think.
Right.
Congrats to you, man. That's freaking awesome.
No, I don't enjoy it. All right. What do you guys think about the
point? I would literally be like to my wife, "Hey, look, we're gonna watch this on the big screen TV."
I think that their claim lacks any more evidentiary value than yours, and so it's just like, okay, like that's your opinion. Did they?
We're gonna definitely.
Did they prove that there's never more than one robotaxi that's acting at any one point in time?
Yeah, I think it's being confused with, there is some people who are saying, which I think is probably true, that the unsupervised service that Tesla's doing is only going up and down a particular street as opposed to going all over the geography.
Except JD specifically debunked that.
Oh. Okay. Because he took an unsupervised robotaxi and it took him all sorts of places?
In different places. Yeah, different locations.
Okay. So I know for sure, like I said, I've seen multiple users, people we trust and so forth, that have said that they, in the same shot, you can see that there's multiple unsupervised robotaxis. I think 2. I don't know if there's 3 or more, but I don't know if there's 8 all running at the same time. I don't know if that's true either. Yeah. But
doesn't matter really. Yeah. Like, we're not there yet. We're not scanning robotaxi yet.
Yeah, like it's just a debate about what is the scope of their piloting. Like, it's objectively true that they are doing their piloting, their data gathering, their debugging with unsupervised robotaxis. There's at least 8 of them individually. How many of them operate at any time? Like, we don't really know. It's hard to get visibility into that. And I don't think it really matters. The question is, are they continuing to add more vehicles, and are they going to expand the amount of coverage so that Nick doesn't have to wait 4 hours to go to the 2 minutes down the road Sam's in an unsupervised Cybercab or Model Y?
It's honestly like such a silly argument or even discussion to be having about that. Really, I mean, a lot of this, like, is it going slow? Yes, it's going slow, because we all want to go faster. And is the service essentially not usable unless you're just there and interested in testing it out? Yes, true. But to sit there and be like, oh, they're faking, like this whole faking it stuff, like, it's insane. We all drive it every single day. If you guys are like me and my wife, like, we don't drive. It drives. We do not drive. Like, it's like, I know everybody's like, oh, well, part of having the car is have fun. Like, I don't care about that, honestly. It drives. I don't do anything. So I know firsthand what it's actually doing and how good it is. And there's no one sitting there monitoring my vehicle. So what was that? Was that criticism of me? Let me read it. Was it funny?
Yeah. Not funny at all.
Let me read it.
We hate you,
There's no
Nick.
funny.
You're terrible.
Nick, here's Nick making excuses for Tesla. And he's called
What?
Bear.
Oh,
Nice.
come on. I definitely have not been making excuses for Tesla. I've been the exact opposite.
Yeah. Did
But
you watch the
I think
beginning
it's
of the show?
I think
and if
it's
you're gonna
funny.
make fun of me, like, guys, low hanging fruit. I got a ripped jean on right now. These are my work jeans.
Yeah.
You could be like, oh, did Nick buy those like that? You know, like there's lots of like, come on, you could be a little funnier. We need Brian here. Where's Brian? He's got the good jokes.
Brian does have the best jokes. Yeah.
He does, but he doesn't go after people.
Yeah.
One of the things about this that I think about is, it's basically like the people who said that, autopilot is never going to be anything. FSD is never going to be anything back in 2017, 2018, 2019, when it's like, oh, this service is terrible and it can't do anything and it's not useful and it's not worth the money, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, I don't know, worked out pretty well. Yes, it took longer than people expected, but it did all the things people said it would never do. And it's going to continue doing things that people said it would never do. And this is just the lived experience of what it feels like to watch people continually move the goalposts.
It's exactly right. Moving the goalpost. It's funny. I mean, there's something to be said about the fact that all three of us, and in fact, 1,000 people we know, hundreds at least, we know, are using FSD, and we're all reporting the same thing, right? It's like, I said, somebody, by the way, Nick, somebody attacked me earlier, said, Herbert said, I wouldn't call that an attack. It was just a statement. I take offense with your calling it flawless. What I mean by flawless, it's been 1 year where I've not had to intervene for any safety reason. I only intervene when I want to end the parking or go somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's not flawless because there's parts of it that, the mapping is not great. I don't want to go that route. I'm going to take over and I'll just redirect it. But in terms of, could this thing have actually been an unsupervised ride for me as a Robotaxi?
Mhm.
Yeah. And I'm talking about two states in Washington, actually three, including California, on my daughter's Model 3, by the way, a Model 3 with a hardware 3. And then in Canada too. Flawless, meaning, as far as I'm concerned, other than the beginning and ending where I'm, parking at.
All the
whatever.
pieces are there. It's just
Like,
a matter of time.
if I didn't hear from you and it was is it just an N of one? Yeah, I'm just an N of one. It could be like a fluke of statistics. David Moss went 12,000 miles without actually, the thing drove him 12,000 miles three times back and forth across coast to coast in the US, multiple states everywhere. But every one of us are reporting it. So it's like, if I didn't, there's something to be said about that, right? If we weren't experiencing this ourselves, maybe we would be a little bit more like, hey, is this faking it? Or, they're just doing it just to show.
And this will be a polarizing example for some, but it's not just us. It's also Jason Calacanis and Chamath talking about, well, I don't drive anymore. Like, I just hop in the Model Y and it drives me here, there, and everywhere, just like a private chauffeur that if I wanted, I would have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, well, probably $100,000 a year to have that level of chauffeur service.
Sign me up.
You'll be a chauffeur. You can't be wearing your ripped jeans.
A couple $100,000, yeah.
You gotta wear the cap. You gotta wear the.
Yeah, but I got a sweater. Tim also like it. So, I was gonna say something. No, yeah, it is flawless. Like, my opinion. I have not taken over for safety or even comfort. Probably a year, like you're talking about. And yeah, I will take over because when I'm coming home from the gym, I like it to go a specific route. And for some reason, it just won't remember, or like I should be able to have a route,
Well, you know what I did to solve that is you have to pinpoint the address of where you want to go. So there's this park that I go for a walk with.
Well, I do, but there's like 3 different ways to get there. And I want to go a very specific route because I like, so like I live essentially like on an island here. in St. Pete. And so like when I go home from the gym, there's like 3 different roads I could take, but I like to go all the way down to the water, and I like to ride,
Yeah.
I like
coast.
to, I like to ride up the
I do the same
coast.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's like 2 minutes longer, but I like starting my day off looking at the water. It's nice.
Mm-hmm. I do the same thing, man. That's funny.
It's human.
It's human.
DNA.
So again, bearish on Tesla, Robotaxi. So far you said really
I'm
the
not
most
bearish
important
on it.
Not you. I said.
Oh.
I'm back on the topic of what would it take for us to be bearish on Robotaxi. To be fair, and both of you kind of said, well, it's got to be something about like an accident, a real accident that Tesla caused, that Tesla is responsible. And other than that, everything else is just a delay as far as we're concerned. Anything else that you would be very bearish on? Like, I guess
I agree with the first,
right? If a regulation comes along and slams the door shut in the US, that would be very, very concerning.
that won't happen.
Possibilities. Yeah.
I think Hans called it out. Like several severe crashes, Tesla's fault. Or that'd be it. Well,
and you actually called out something that I think would be concerning too earlier, and that would be, if they had cybercabs piling up, like that is a clear signal that something bad happened. In order for them to have that inventory sitting around doing nothing. Like, we've already been through the whole Tesla Air Force debacle, and you know that they aren't going to want to do something to, initiate a second Overwatch experience. And so that would be another one that I think would be like, the likelihood is almost zero, but a signal like that would be a pretty significant negative signal.
What do you think, Herbert?
Yeah, I was thinking about the cybercab piling up idea, and where I was going with this was that if there's a regulation, right, because you can only make 2,500 at this point of truly like no steering wheel and all that, then what they will do is put the steering wheel and pedal in it, but they can still use that as a robo-taxi for the one-person rider. 80%? Is it 85% of all rides is one person?
Like that?
So
what's that for?
Oop. You're not on mute, dude.
My fault.
What? Now we're curious. What was that conversation?
I don't know what you heard.
Something about a screw.
Yeah, I've got my Brazilian friend here, João, JV, and he's looking for a screw.
All right.
I'll be with you in a minute.
Okay, so they could just put and then one person robotaxis, but that would be unsupervised. Like, it would be very odd if there was actually a person on the steering wheel, and then you're taking a ride. That would be weird. So yeah, I can still see that the Cybertrucks could actually still, not because of regulation, but because of they're not ready, right?
Yeah, but you know what also would be like, just like another thing that would make things really bullish that maybe we haven't thought of, if they start like pumping out cybercabs, and all of a sudden we see them being like positioned in Tampa, positioned in Houston, positioned in Arizona, like they're stockpiling there while they do their testing, and like that'd be a pretty bullish sign, like, oh, they're getting ready. It's kind of like I don't know, like a military slowly building up. They're not invading yet, but they're building up, and you see what's happening. That'd be pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. There is something to be said about why we all said at the beginning that we are not expecting that they're delayed with the 7 cities, but we all still believe that the plan is that they're going to do 3 months at least of supervised driving first.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay.
I like, for all we know, they're doing it already. Like, you don't necessarily need riders to do the testing.
True.
I'm sure with Houston and California, like, you would think that they're figuring out like certain tests that they have to do, or certain things that they need to like iron out, and they might be doing that now with just regular drivers. Like, you don't necessarily need to have a human in for that. So I would think You know, and what I'm saying might not be true for another like year or two, right? But I would think eventually they know what they need to do in a city in order to iron out the things that give a new city hiccups. And I don't think you need to have I don't think you have to have it launched with humans to do that, unless it's where do people prefer to be dropped off in this given city? Like maybe that is extremely nuanced. That the only way you can know that is by launching a supervised test. But I don't understand what else would be. Maybe stadiums. Like how does this stadium work when there's a game? Like where do they usher people out? You know, kind of thing. I don't know. But I would think eventually they know what they have to do in order to be successful in a new city launching without humans. And I would think that that's what they're trying to get to. I would think.
Hans? Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are very solid points.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Anything else that we need to talk about? So it's slow or fast? Yeah, it's both. That's very
Not
slow.
really, but I'll say a nice bounce in the stock today. I mean, the whole market really. I would say for anyone who has options out there, I wouldn't get too excited. I would just be a little cautious. I think all of this right now is a little breathing room in the market. And obviously we have big earnings today with NVIDIA. So just be careful. Don't do anything too stupid. Everybody's been scared left and right every single day for like the past 6 weeks. And then we get one day and all of a sudden everything on X is, we're back, baby, after one day, so I would, be cautious, be smart, and be safe.
And be aware that the demand for tokens is going through the roof right now.
Spoken like someone who has a big bill.
Yeah, me too. I'm spending a lot more than I was expecting playing around with.
What are we talking about? What kind of numbers are you guys spending?
Sometimes close to $50 a day, dude.
Damn.
I'm pretty ruthless with my budget, but that's a constraint that breeds creativity.
I've done everything I could to, switch models, use this only for that, and use this model for that, and it's kind of out of hand. Okay, thank you both very much. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.